Exercise is not a weight loss program. Cardio is not necessary for fat loss. Carbs are not the enemy.
One of the best ways to improve your hip mobility that doesn't require stretching, get up off your ass and walk around.
There is no magical fat burning zone, only poor habits and a poor diet.
What is Golf Fitness? It is a program designed to make your body better at the game of golf. Squat, deadlift, press, pull, and rotate. This will make you better at golf. It'll make you better in all aspects of your life.
Welcome to the Shoot It Straight podcast.
Welcome.
My name is Erika Wescott. I'm here with my co-host,
Cody Wescott. I'm a golf fitness expert.
Apparently, I'm a nutrition expert and a fitness coach.
That's right. So now people know who we are. So
Yeah, it's helpful.
it's helpful, right? Like it could be someone's first time.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%. I just like to jump right into it, but I do think an introduction is totally cool.
I get that, but like I'm also like, when you listen to other people, like, even though I've listened to, my podcast, I've listened to a million times, I don't even fast forward. I'm like, oh yeah. I need to be reminded who this guy is.
Everybody's different. All the podcasts are different. So
Yeah, I don't think Joe Rogan introduces himself.
No, that's like, he just like gets right into it.
Yeah,
He
you just
doesn't
know.
But it's like, he doesn't need an introduction.
No, he doesn't.
We haven't reached that status yet. Has anybody forgotten about Squat? Because that was our dog Squat in the background.
Yes. Well, probably very much in the foreground because it was so loud.
Well, he hasn't been in an episode in a long time. So I guess he just needed to remind everybody that he's still here.
Well, it's part of the introduction process. He needed to
That was Squat.
also introduce himself.
Yeah. And so the whole like Squat fitness, Squat also is a dachshund. So he has little legs. So it's kind of like a dual purpose meaning.
Did we ever talk about how he was named one of the fittest dogs in Austin?
No, now would be a great time to bring that up.
I wish tell the story about how he was one of the.
Time was that in 2021? Must have been in 2021. It was right before we left. So yeah, it was.
We used to live in Austin, Texas.
We lived in Austin, Texas for 2 years, and in 2021, I applied with Ramona's help. One of our friends in Austin told me about Austin Fit magazine, which came out monthly, I believe. They had pretty frequent subscriptions or whatever, publications. And I entered Squat in, and he got the top. What did they do? Highlight 10?
I think it was 12.
12.
I don't know. I remember 12 being the number. Might have been 10.
10 to 12. Whatever. Austin's a big place with a lot of dogs, and he got in.
He got in.
With his little legs. And
you
we
were
did a
featured.
photo shoot
Yeah, you guys
on
did
Zilker
a
Park.
very nice photo shoot.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I met a lot of people there. I keep in touch with one woman that we literally DM a lot on Instagram. She like knows us from that experience. Her dog is like a legitimate, like can do like tricks and agility and stuff like that.
Squat does none of that. He used to walk a lot more, so it used to be very fitting because we used to, during the pandemic, he would take like 3, 4, or 5 mile walks every day, and he was only like 2 years old.
Yeah.
And now he's like at the ripe age of 4, and he like is lazy as shit.
He'll be 4 at the end of June, and maybe he's just picking up on my vibe. I've also been sort of slowing down this year.
Yeah, but he's he's stopped. It's not just slowed down, like he just stopped.
I know. We'll work on it. We've been through a lot. We've moved a lot. Maybe he's just finding his way. He's recovering.
His way is sleeping 22 hours a day.
I mean, he's a dachshund, right? Like, I think we need to acknowledge that every breed is different, and his breed is a little bit more like lap dog, homebody. He's playful. Like, he's barking, running around in here. It's not like he's lost his spark.
Youth.
He just, I think, is more. He probably could be socialized a little more.
Well,
in Austin, we had, it's funny because again, we've moved around a lot in the last couple of years. But in Austin, he had a lot of dog friends, and we had a lot of your clients would like bring their cool dogs over. We would get to play.
Right.
We had play dates for him a lot.
Yeah, and
That's
people
been
would be in
hard
the
to
garage
find.
and give him like stimulus, like
Yeah.
when people were around.
Yeah, and
now it's just us.
It's just us. So, yeah.
And now I'm not even on the Zoom anymore. I used to come in there when I was training people on Zoom and like demonstrating exercises and
demoing exercises
and get down the floor and wrestle me while I'm trying to show someone how to do a stretch or whatever.
So funny. Yeah, we've fully transitioned into our lift heavy swing fast programming.
No more Zoom. Like I'm down to my very last client in person.
Yes.
And I'll keep him around because he comes to the garage at a good time in the morning and he's fun. So,
Well, we've talked about this before, but I think having boots on the ground is helpful. In some
it really
capacity.
is. I mean, there's, especially because, I mean, he does, whether he realizes it or not, I tell him, but it's like he does not the exact same workouts because I do modify them to like his individual needs, but, it is good to see like, okay, well, I can program this movement that I know how to do. Let's see what it looks like when someone who doesn't have a whole life revolving around fitness looks like when they do it, and
Totally.
how it works for them. And you do just pick up on stuff like that is invaluable when you see someone do it live and how their body and how they respond, and you can modify it from there, like how it can fit more people. And then I think that's what I'm trying to work on now, is like trying to like broadcast like a wider net to what'll fit more people. And then in the program, I can refine it like, okay, well, if this works for you, then try it this way as well.
100%. And just there's applying your actual program in real life. And then there's just kind of just keeping up with the coaching and the people side of it. Cause it can feel so, and this is even just like speaking on a podcast or talking on social media, like you're just kind of speaking to a wall. And like, yes, people write you back, and yes, people like comment, and yes, there's interaction on all these platforms, but you don't know how, and there's also a lot of people that don't respond. So sometimes we just don't know how things land sometimes, like
Right.
in this digital world that we live in. And so I think it is helpful. Like I've still been doing my nutrition coaching. It's gone down a lot from how many clients I used to have, but there's still things that I learn like each week or whatever, like just keeping a pulse on just the things that are happening in like in real time and in real life,
Right.
versus just kind of talking into to space or not applying what it is that we're out here trying to do.
Yep. And there's so many aspects of it. Like when you write a program for someone, and right now, like I still have like 30 or over 30 people I still write custom programming for. And that can be tricky because at least with lift heavy swing fast, I do these workouts myself. So like I know how it feels, I know how it works, and then I know how long it takes. I think that's something I'm always like mindful of, because I want people to be able to get in and get out. Like I don't want to program a 90-minute workout.
Yep.
I do expect sometimes that'll probably take like 70 minutes if you're learning some of the new movements, and if you got the time, that's great. But like that's another like aspect of it, like when you're not seeing someone actually do the workout you wrote like in person, like their rest periods, how long it's actually taking them to get set up, to do the exercise, to set up the landmine or whatever it is that you're having them use. It is really good to see like in action, like how long that stuff takes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can't be doing
All things to be mindful of.
30 people's workouts all at once. We can't test out everything. So
Yeah, I can have an idea, and then once we've done this for so long, and I remember doing this like in group fitness too. Like you would write down a workout, and you're like, there's always these boxes you have to check, right? It's like, okay, let me get an upper body movement that's a pulling. Let me get a lower body push. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me get a rotation. Let me make sure I get all these, and then you write it down, and you're like, okay, on paper that looks awesome. And then when you go get in front of the class, and next thing you know, like you're in the middle of your third movement, it's like, oh shit, we've been like on the ground for 4 movements in a row.
like switch it up.
Like I didn't
or do
like
something different next set.
Yeah, like, whoa, shit, what did I think? Like I've just been in here on the floor forever. Like I need to get up, and you really got to think about all that stuff when you're programming for people.
It's hard. Programming is really, really challenging. And that's why I think again, our program is super valuable for all the work that goes into it, and all of the thought and all of the experience from decades of teaching and failing and trial and error and all the things.
Yeah, I've gotten up there. I mean, I still remember in Equinox, and something that, she was like, her name's Julie. She's one of like the head people at Equinox. She's super badass. Like she came and took one of my classes, and of course I was like kind of nervous, and it was one of these classes you kind of got like free reign on coming up with the format and everything. And I did do something like that where like I kind of got really repetitive in the movements I was doing. Like I think it was like a plank jack, and then like some other kind of pushing and on your hands doing like a bird dog or whatever it is. There's like 3 or 4 movements in there that were all on your hands. And she's like, hey, she's like, you have what can't be taught. Like you're so good as a coach, but you need to work on the programming that you put in there sometimes. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like I knew that. I was like, damn. I was like, because I got in front of there, started doing it. I was like, oh, this isn't working how I want it to.
Well, once
And
again, though, Group X is harder to program for than individuals because you're limited on equipment, you're limited on space.
Right.
That's why you have people like on the ground doing fucking plank shits because like there's
Yeah.
not pull-up bars all over. There's just not. It's different. It's
Right.
so much different, and
Very
it's so
different.
hard.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of time goes into that. But yeah, what an interesting. That was like a fun time. We like helped open that gym.
Mm-hmm. We helped open the Equinox in Austin. We were part of like the opening crew.
Like genuinely, that was a really cool time. And then the pandemic happened, and I just feel like the whole vibe like totally went to shit. But
Yeah, I hope it's back because then I still did some group fitness coaching at Equinox in Washington D.C. when they were doing masks and then no masks, then masks again. Like they kept moving it around, and it was just so different. Like when you're coaching people that had to do these intense like 45-minute Tabata classes or whatever it is that are so hard and like so cardiovascular challenging, and you're making them wear a mask while they do it.
yes.
It was a brutal, and I remember people would come to me and complain after class, like, that guy kept taking his off. I was like, I don't give a shit. Like that's so hard to do.
Yeah, and you're literally like suffocating yourself.
Yeah, like you're like waterboarding yourself, like when
Yes.
it's sweaty and all this.
Yes.
I was like, I'm sorry I didn't see it. She's like, well, you have to pay better attention. I was like, I'm not
Absolutely
here.
not.
I'm not here to be the mask police.
Not policing people 100%. And we were training too. That was when I was like peak training for High Rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in DC and we had to wear our masks. And it was just like, obviously, like wear it
Nightmare.
as bullshit as you can. But still,
Yeah.
like having something, I don't even like to wear clothes on my body. So having something on my fucking face while I'm trying to train.
God, remember the little inserts we had for the
Yes.
mask too? Oh my God, to try to keep it off your face.
Huh? What
That
a
was a
weird
nightmare.
time.
Yeah, we won't go to that rabbit hole, but wow, like interesting.
Interesting times. Well, we're here to talk about, so speaking of like the programming and all the things that go behind it, I think this is a question that's been coming up recently, but also something that I think is worth defining, and that is, what is lifting heavy? Like, what does that mean?
Right.
Because you hear about it, we hear it in the social medias, or we're preaching it to our clients and to our followers, and it's like, well, what does that actually mean? Because of course that can be which we'll get into, a wide variety of things,
Right.
And it's very individual. And I think, as maybe you're anticipating, it depends. It totally depends, but that is the correct answer for a lot of these things, and that's why we're going to go kind of into the nuances of, hey, what does it mean
To lift
to
heavy.
lift heavy?
Yeah, there's no definitive answer, right? There's no a 400-pound back squat is heavy. Anything besides that, not
Right,
heavy. Like
right,
no, it's
right.
it's so relative to everyone. Like, we have wonderful videos of you when you were learning how to squat.
Yeah, those are so fun to look back on.
6 years ago or 5 years ago, whenever it was that we were throwing barbells on Erika's back and watching her like squat like heavy for the first time. Like what used to be heavy to her is probably not even a warm-up set for you now.
Yeah, and I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a crazy thing. I think it's one of those things, isn't it? Like, psychologically, we remember more how we feel than like and that's how I feel about it.
Especially when you watch that video, I can remember how you felt.
I remember how I felt. I mean, like, we had the belt on, I had the shoes, like the whole thing. Now I just like don't wear shoes literally don't wear shoes 90% of the time. Don't ever put a belt on unless that like I'm trying to max.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the point being,
It's relative.
My relative, yes, it was so heavy,
Right.
85 pounds, or we would do 95 because that was back when I only used like a male bar at the gym. So there were no 35.
So there was really no 85 pounds.
So 95 pounds back squat for like reps.
Yeah, that was like your 5-rep max for a while.
And it's still, looking back on it though, I'm like, that again, like to this point of this conversation, like if a woman can back squat 5 by 5 after warming up, 25 reps of 95 pounds, that is pretty fucking good. Like
100%.
like full stop.
100%. So
Because-
yeah, it's all just so relative, and
Yeah.
like that's where it's like, our own like unique like starting points and things like that. Like that wasn't your starting point in fitness, but that was your starting point of lifting heavy, and that was heavy for you at that particular starting point, and like that was where your ability was, and like that's where you were. That was heavy.
Yeah.
Now it's not.
Yes.
But like that's what, and I think so. Like when I was out there playing golf the other day, what really kind of sparked up this conversation was, I'm walking around with this guy. He's mid-60s, really nice guy. I wanted to talk all about fitness. He's got some injuries and things like that. And he just straight up said, I can't lift heavy. And I was like, well, heavy to you is different than heavy to me. Like I do this for a living. But, you know, it doesn't mean you can't lift heavy. It just means lifting heavy for you should mean progressively lifting more than I did previously. That challenges me to get better and get stronger, for my body to have the stimulus I'm looking for that is going to make me stronger.
Yep.
Like that should be more of like your term of heavy than, oh, let me watch some videos and see what this guy does, and then that's how I'm going to define or get this idea of what heavy weights looks like.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
But honestly, if we changed it to lift heavier, that would like clear up a little bit of it, because it's it's relativity.
Should we change the
Lift it? Yeah. Wait. Let's go
Damn,
back.
we got that patent. That cost us a bunch of money.
I know, and it's been
Lift
like
heavier.
and we're a year into the application. So any month now, we should finally be hearing back, which they'll probably have feedback on or something, and then we'll have to like reapply. God.
Like, okay, well, actually, now we want to make it lift heavier and swing faster.
Lift heavier, swing faster. I mean, that doesn't sound as sexy, but that's really what it is. I mean, back to Group X and our experience in Group X. Is seeing the same people pick up the same weights for like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, literally coaching people, which you and I did for multiple months plus years.
Right.
And seeing the same person, men and women, pick up 15-pound dumbbells every time for their squats or whatever. And it's like, I'm not going to get into the nuances of the programming for Group X, but same idea, because I'm speaking to the people out there that have done this, or even that go into the weight room. I see this at Lifetime.
Yeah.
I'm like, I see that guy doing the same weights every single time. Like,
yeah, there's one guy that does like the exact same workout with the same weights.
Same workout.
Every single time.
Same weights. And again, like, we don't know the nuances of their programming, and maybe, you know, for God forbid, like, he could be doing tempo with the weights, and we can talk about that or whatever. Like, but we know that he's also probably not, because we know from experience that person, that's just what I do. I go in and I pick the 20-pound dumbbell. I use that same dumbbell and I do the same amount of reps and I do the same amount. It's like, time to like level up and do heavier or more,
right, or
slower or whatever than last time.
And people in Group X, like, I don't want this conversation to be all about Group X, but it's funny, like they had, like, if we were doing deadlifts, they were gonna pick this certain weight, right, of dumbbells, regardless of how it fit into the workout.
Right.
You could be doing, you know, Elevate used to program like usually like timed intervals of stuff more often than actual rep counts, I think. But anyways, so it'd be like, maybe this week it was like, okay, we're gonna do 5 deadlifts in this circuit, and then next week it could be, all right, we're gonna deadlift now for 60 seconds straight. Okay, you're gonna do more than 5 deadlifts in 60 seconds.
That's right.
But that person would still pick the exact same dumbbells.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So yeah, each weight, like, does it, like, should you lift heavy every single time? No.
Right.
Should every single rep or every single exercise be programmed to go super heavy? No. But if it's programmed in there to go heavy, that people just think that, oh shit, like, if I can't back squat 315, I'm not going heavy.
That's right.
It's just so, like, you know, individualized.
It is individualized, and to that point, I mean, not to keep bringing up my own experiences, but it's fitting into this conversation. I just did 95-pound back squats the other day. Like, literally, I just did them.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I saw you.
Because I'm starting a new cycle, and last cycle was extremely heavy. You know, was eating all of the food too, and like getting really strong. Fun, but like also body felt it and was tired. And his programming is like, okay, next cycle is, you know, higher reps and just more muscle endurance is what I'm garnering. I don't really know because I don't write the programming, but doing muscle endurance. I did 4 sets of like 12 back squats, and then no pause to go right into, or it was lunges first. It was 12 lunges into 12 back squats. Anyway, the point is like my 1 rep max back squat is of course very different than my endurance 12 rep intervals, whatever, back squat. But again, was still very heavy, like based on like ratings of perceived exertion, which maybe we talk a little bit about that in the context of lifting heavy.
Right.
I was like smoked. I almost felt like I could have gotten a workout with just the barbell on my back. Like at that, like towards the end, I was like, oh shit. And it's hard to like find out where you're at the beginning of a cycle, like knowing where to like put your weight when it's like new like that. And we've been lifting for so long. It's like, oh shit, maybe I went a little too heavy. But yeah, like
that's how you find out. And that's what's good about, you know, I know what programming you do and like how I program things is like you get another chance. Like, you know, like for example, like lift heavy, swing fast. We just started a new cycle on Monday. It's Wednesday, but and it's back squats, and it's concentric focused. It's to be explosive on the way up. And I would imagine a lot of people like probably didn't pick the right weight this week because it's the first time doing it.
Totally.
You know, and that's why it's going to be repeating week after week for a little while until, you know, and then by next week you'll dial it in a little bit better and so on and so forth. And that's another reason why you repeat things in programs, right? To like really kind of practice, and then okay, now next week I'm going to be more dialed in. I know what to do. I know what weights to pick.
Yes.
And here's how I'm going to hammer it.
Yeah, and like that's a really good point of like kind of going in on the of how to pick your weights, because that can be a challenging thing, which we could talk about in a whole nother podcast. But it's okay to like you said, kind of fuck it up a little bit on the first week, or because like if you're following a good program and we are truly lifting heavier going forward, your goal should be to like continue to lift heavier. So if you felt like it was your week 1 and it was like really taxing, then you probably did go too heavy. So you know to like back off.
Right.
But I think a lot of people too, like on a week 1 or starting out a new program and they finish and like maybe they have a background of like killing it and doing 110% every workout or doing high intensity or whatever all the time. Those people tend to like do a workout and they're like, that wasn't hard enough. And it's like, that's actually probably exactly where you should be on like week 1, maybe even week 2, like learning the movements and like feeling fresh and not feeling, you don't want to feel beat up and like shit on week 1 or week 2 of a program.
Right.
Like you should be able to lift heavier in the following week, or if you're adding reps or whatever, but we should be able to make that progression as the program continues.
Right.
So I just feel like there is like sometimes that too, where it's like, well, I don't know where to start. I vote start on the side of like a little lighter than you think. 'Cause you can always add weight plates to like the last couple sets if you want.
Right.
But like more often than not, I feel like it's like cool. Like get down the movement, get down the like whatever.
Like almost like the flow of the workout, like kind of get like understand like where your energy is going to need to be spent, right? Like, cause you know, I definitely always put the more taxing workouts at the exercises at the very beginning, like your squats, your deadlifts, your step ups, your big compound movements are always at the beginning, and then it'll taper down into like a little, I don't want to say, you still don't want it to be easier, because by the time you get to that movement, like you should be a little tired, so like you still can perform it well.
Yes.
But that's another part of the looking at the entire workout, like not just each individual movement too, right? You gotta
totally.
So if you just go and blow it, like, right, if you're like, oh shit, let me think back to my high school days or whenever it was that I was in really good shape. I haven't lifted a weight in decades.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and just throw up.
Let me do that.
Let me just throw up a bunch of weight on this barbell back squat, which is going, way too heavy, and then your tax, and then your next movements suck, and it's like, okay, why don't we just kind of see how it feels first?
And to the
there's
person,
always going to be next week, because I don't mind hearing people say, I went a little too light this week, I'm going to try to go heavier this week, because you never want to hear someone said, oh, I fucked up and I went too heavy, and then they could have hurt themselves too, right? Like, you can always do a little more later.
Yes.
You can't take it back.
Right.
Like when I used to get my haircut, the guy used to say that. He's
yes.
like, sure you want to go this short? He's like, I can't put it back on.
Yes.
It's like, so it's the same idea, right?
It's totally same idea. And exactly what I was going to say is to your point with the guy or any gal who's like, I can't lift heavy. That's the response usually to that person. Well, what? Because you went overboard one time, or you did too much for what your capacity is right now.
Right.
Like, well, yeah, I can't squat 500 pounds. Like yeah. Does that mean that I can't lift heavy? I think another point to bring up, and this came up in my DMs when you made your post this week about lifting heavy. I had a message from an old friend from my group X days, and he is like 6'4", 6'5". He's a beanpole. Mm-hmm. And he was like, this resonated with me. He's like, and he laughed, like, LOL. And like, and I think I sent him like the string bean emoji or whatever, maybe it's peas. Anyway, because he was like, yeah, like 6'4", 6'5", I weigh like, and he weighs like 100 and probably literally weighs like 170 pounds or something. I don't know. I don't want to put his shit out there, but his point being like, he's not going to necessarily back squat what a guy that's 5'6" and his same weight can back squat, probably ever, because there's anatomy as part of this equation
100%
too. Not just body weight plays into it a lot, I think, but especially I feel like when your limbs are like extremely long. Like maybe he's really good at deadlifting, but like his squat, whatever, might not be
Oh, they're brutal.
the best of the best. He's got a long way to go.
Yeah, like I got a body, like my short little frame is made for squatting.
Literally.
You know, like
You can move like 4 inches and your legs are your ass to grass.
yeah, I mean, and my legs are so big that like they literally hit each other, like just past 90 degrees. So it looks like, well, that guy's ass to grass. Like, well, there's really, there's no more grass in between there.
Yes.
Like, there's not it's mowed pretty short. But anyways, it's just like, yeah, like big tall guys. I mean, they excel at other things though. So it's always that.
And
right?
so my point being really is like comparison is the thief of joy, and to be really mindful of that, because I can get in my own head, and I'm sure you can too. There's always going to be people that can lift heavier than you, 100% of the time, and there's always people that lift like less than you, right? So it's back to like that relativity thing where it's like like the average person, and we can get in our own heads about this because of the space that we're in. We're surrounded by fitness people that are like strong and lifting all the time. And I'm like, oh man, that girl is my size and she's lifting 300 pounds on her back. Like, what the fuck?
Right. Well,
but then I'm like, that's not the average fucking person. Like that's, again, heavy to me is different than the other person. So same thing. If you're someone with shorter legs or if you're long legged and you see someone squatting with shorter legs and you're like, well, they're probably going to always be able to squat better than you, like whatever. Right. But again, you're better at rowing, or you're better at doing a wall ball, or your swing, just moving the driver around is probably really awesome because you're so tall that your like levers are like way better than a short person. So
I think the best thing we can do is if we were to ask someone what lifting heavy means to them, and you have to take all comparisons out of it. Like if you cannot compare yourself to anything else, anyone, no comparisons at all, then define what heavy is.
Yeah.
How would you do that? I don't know.
Are you asking
you would have to go find out, right? You'd have to just like pick up something and be like, oh, that's light. Okay. Right. Okay, that's heavy. Yes. Like now there's heavy for you.
Yeah.
And you can't ask me to do the same thing and compare. You can't look at me lifting weights. You just have to go figure out what is heavy for you. I think that's like how you could actually figure it out.
No, totally true.
Because people are like, I don't want to be heavy enough to lift a house. I don't want to see, if I post my video of my 315 pound back squat the other day, which I was very proud of. So I'm going to keep posting that video because I've worked 20 years to do that like that. I've squatted heavier than that. But anyways, like I'm very proud of that squat. I like showing the lift. Don't even think, when you think lift heavy, that shouldn't even cross your mind.
Right. No.
At all. Like you don't even think about that. Lift heavy for you is, okay, here's a back squat. Let me put a little weight on here. Okay, that was light. Let me put a little more. Okay, that was kind of heavy. There you go. There's your lift heavy for the day.
That's your lift heavy for the day. Build from there. That's it.
That is it. And just because the guy next to you is doing more, doesn't matter.
Right.
Log that weight so that way you know. That's why we have an app. You can type it in and it'll tell you like you're working max. It's great. It reminds you next week what you did last week. Yeah, that's what we love
about our app, is that being able to track that so easily.
Because now there's your definition of heavy.
That's it.
You created it on your own.
Yes.
And now you build off of that.
Yes. Yeah, and really what we're doing when we're lifting heavy is it's all about adaptation. So obviously that 95 pound back squat became a lot easier. Mm-hmm. Therefore, my new level of heavy was 105 pounds, 115 pounds, 125 pounds. It felt the same as the 95 pounds. It just was heavier. Same thing when I was running.
Right.
Well, an 8-minute mile used to be hard. And then it became, 740s felt like my 8 minutes. 730s. Like it's the same exact thing.
Yep.
We become more efficient because we're adapting to it.
Right.
And that's really what builds strong bodies and gets our bodies to adapt.
Right. And I wish people would just be more obsessed with being strong.
Yeah.
Like I remember our golf coach at down in Austin, old Phil, he would watch me swing and he'd come in there and be like, man, what's it like to be so strong?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, dude, I don't think I know. I don't want to know what it's like to be weak.
Yeah,
not that he was, but
no.
Because he's like a former, he's an athlete, like former college golfer, he's not a weak guy or anything, but I don't know. I know what it feels like to be strong. I don't want to know what it feels like to be weak.
That's right.
Like why do we need to be strong? Well, strong things are less likely to break. Like, I mean, it's just, and you know, you're in a strong, capable body. Like your bones, your muscles, like everything is strong.
Yes.
Like find me like there's no instance like this building we're in right now. Do I want this to be a weak structure? Fuck no.
Right.
Like, you know, we want to be strong. Like
Well,
there should be no debate about like you need to be strong.
Oh, and it goes back to like what you were saying though, with, you know, again, to the person that refuses to pick up a 15-pound dumbbell. It's like, if you're a mom and you've had a baby, how big has your kid gotten that you've picked them up and
Right.
held them? How much does your luggage weigh when you haul it? How do people actually get injured as we age?
Right.
Doing stupid day-to-day shit, like picking up something wrong,
Taking out the
taking
trash.
a bag of groceries out that they because they aren't accustomed or conditioned to pick up something that's 50 pounds.
Right.
So if someone that's not like loving the relativity definition, I speak to that, because it's like, why shouldn't you be able to pick up some furniture every once in a while? Because you should be able to learn how to properly do that without hurting yourself. You're not weak because you're 60 years old. You're weak because you got to 60 years old and you chose not to lift weights
Right.
for a really long time.
Yeah. And of course, everything like kind of hurts your back because your back is so weak that you didn't make it strong.
And you don't know how to use your muscles. You're
Yeah.
using your spine or your joints or whatever you're doing. I mean,
Yeah.
there's whatever, you know, and again, like, sure, can you be injured lifting weights? Yeah, you can be injured. But again, the majority of people are not injured lifting weights. They're injured lifting other things improperly because they're weak and
Right.
they're not strong enough to do it.
Like Dustin Johnson.
What happened to him?
He made some silly comment before the PGA Championship that he hurt his back, and they were like,
Oh, I saw that. Was that about
Ma-
it? Was it a sex joke?
"Yeah."
Was that what it was about?
It turns out that it
Oh,
was.
oh, please. How does anybody know that for real? He probably never gets any.
I don't know. It's pretty funny, but
Yeah, that's just what he wants you to think. Anyway, so yeah, that's it. That's on that note.
yeah, no, you want to be strong. So like that's just, you know, I don't know if people like just decide they don't want to lift heavy because they see that it's going to be hard. I think that also plays into it as well. So like, oh shit, I don't want to do that. That's hard. I don't need to do that. Again, take away all comparisons and just lift something that's hard for you, so that way you can get a response and become more resilient and stronger. And for you golfers that are always worried about your back hurting because you're out there swinging your club without a strong back, this is definitely something you need to do. I made like a little tweet about it today. I was like making a funny joke. Is like, you know, golfers, they'll walk around. I've seen them on there with their back braces, with their knee brace on. Like they still go out there and swing the golf club though, even though that's what's hurting them.
Yes.
They're not going to stop.
Yes.
No matter what.
Yes.
And they're not looking for any solution to fix it.
Nope.
But you ask them to squat or deadlift or anything like that, they're like, "Oh, that hurts my knee or it hurts my back." I'm like, I've been out here playing with you for 3 hours. You've done nothing but complain about your back and your knee
Yep.
while you're out here playing golf, but you're not willing to lift weights to make that better and be stronger from that. Like, I'm not going to say, I don't want to sit here and I hate, like, I don't want to be a fitness guy that talks about my own experience, but I'm going to real quick. Cause like I've been lifting heavy ass weights for 20 plus years and I swing the golf club really fast. And I do both of those things multiple times a week. I've been squatting now at least twice a week, pretty fucking heavy for at least the last, like, since 2015 when I moved to Washington, D.C., I started squatting heavy all the time. From 2 to 3 times a week. And I swing the golf club over 122 miles per hour.
Yep.
Regularly with weighted clubs. I don't know what that beep was, but like with weighted clubs. Like, so, and my back feels fine.
Yes.
So I don't want to hear about this like, oh, that's going to hurt me. That's going to do this and that. It might, if you have a pre-existing condition, yeah, you things could injure you. But if you don't, get stronger, get better, and it'll change your life.
Yeah, I agree. Well, on that note.
Yeah, and I'm a little fired up. Do we want to do the obsessed with thing this week, or?
Yeah, what are you obsessed with this week?
Oh, you're going to make me start? I was going to put you on the spot because you usually have something right off the top of your head.
I do have like things that I'm obsessing over. Yeah.
Okay, you go first so I can think of mine.
The Savannah Bananas. Has anybody been to see the Savannah Bananas?
I haven't been.
I'm obsessing over 2 things. My first one is the Savannah Bananas. It was been about exactly a year ago we discovered them, or I had never heard of them until we went to Savannah. I don't know why.
I mean,
'Cause
I
we didn't
had
see
no
them.
idea about the
We
Savannah
didn't
bananas.
see the Savannah bananas, but we heard about them when we were there. Maybe I saw an ad, like dead ass. Like I don't even remember. Maybe I was researching and I was like, oh, the Savannah bananas. They're like this, I don't know, Harlem Globetrotters of baseball.
A little bit. It's like a show. Like they're out there. They break down into dance. Like in the
Oh
middle
my
of
God.
like
Well, they're
pitching
on
and baseball and stuff.
Instagram too. So like that's
Yeah.
how I like consume their content because it's so funny. Like they dance so well. Like it's so funny. But it's just these older, it's just these guys in baseball uniforms dancing all over the baseball field. Like they are funny. They're funny.
They are pretty good.
The Savannah bananas. Anyway, they came to town, like they came to Tulsa and they were in Oklahoma City like just a few days ago. And I looked up tickets and they were sold out, like way past sold out because we were too late. I hadn't heard about it until like the day of or something. But their tickets were like hundreds of dollars. I mean,
I'm sure it's a lot of fun.
I'm sure it is. No, I think that would totally be worth it. I'm just saying, like, damn, they sell out and they go all over the place and they just dance around. Like, that's funny. So I want to see this Savannah bananas. But if anybody's heard of them or seen them, I want to know what it's like to go. But that's on my bucket list. Maybe we'll get to see them soon. The other thing that I found out last night, or that I started to like really get into, is this guy's biking DC, and it was funny because multiple of his videos, the people that were on his videos that he would show on the streets of DC, were like, "Dude, I just followed you. Your stuff is like mesmerizing," and that was exactly how I felt. It was mesmerizing. He has a GoPro on his camera, or on his helmet, or maybe it's on his chest. Actually, I can't tell. And he's a bike delivery guy. He's an Uber Eats delivery biker, and his stuff is so good because he shows it basically from start to finish, but he rides without any hands and he holds people's drinks in his hands when he's biking down like Mass Ave in DC in traffic.
I'll have to watch this.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like, I'm biking in DC. Like it is mesmerizing because he, speeds up his GoPro or whatever, but he always has like a drink, and last night I saw one of his videos. He like hand delivered it to the girl and she was like, "Holy shit, did you just like bike here like that the whole way or whatever?" And he was like, "Yeah." It's like his thing. I bet you this guy.
Does he get tipped well for that?
I bet you he does. I bet you he makes money because he's fast and efficient, right? So it's like volume, and I'm sure he does it like 6 or 7 days a week.
Where's Mark's new place? I'm gonna have him deliver something to Mark.
Literally, I know.
And see
But
Mark's
it's like
reaction.
you probably can't request a driver. I don't think it works like that. I don't know. I literally have Uber Eats like once in my life, but
We're gonna have to figure out how to get something delivered to Mark and see his reaction.
it's awesome. His stuff is so good, and it's that consistency thing. Like you can see he posts the same shit. It's this delivery, but each one he has like a different theme. Like, oh, I forgot this woman's name, or oops, this lobby was rude, or like just stupid shit that's just his everyday life. But it was so like it was just so mundane. But I did appreciate it. Was cool to see him weaving in and out of traffic like in DC, and like kind of knowing exactly where he was at. A lot of it was like in the Chinatown area because that's where all the good food is. He'd be going into like Cava and Chick-fil-A and all the shit.
Cava.
So biking DC, what a cool Instagram. 10 out of 10 recommend. Well,
Mine wasn't
thank
very
you
good today,
guys for listening about our lift heavier, or swing faster.
We're not changing the name. Still lift heavy, swing fast. You just now have a better idea of what we mean by lifting heavy.
Yeah, if this helped you, let us know. Subscribe to the channel, y'all. Please. We love seeing the people that are subscribing and liking and interacting and listening. It's cool that we have a consistent crew of you out there.
Feel free to ask questions, that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, that's also helps us put out what it is that we put out is coming literally from clients and people that are asking questions.
Literally, like every post comes from.
It does. Comes from it. Y'all make good content. So, with that, we're out.